I think you should hear this.
Welcome to the Louie Show.
Let's go. Oh, fuck. Welcome to I Think You Should Hear This, a podcast exploring people's journeys of growth, adversity, and self-discovery. For this episode, I have with me Louie Brabant. Thanks for having me. Oh, fuck. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, bro.
Pleasure.
Yeah, been a scattered day. Anyway, thanks for coming on. So, I met Louie just through mutual friends, honestly, years ago. But since then, gained a bit of a relationship, very similar views on life, lifestyle, values, that sort of thing. It's been really good to watch all the things that you've been doing over the years. So for those who don't know, Louie's gone out of his own as a plumber, owns a business, created a community, Miles4Smiles. If you haven't heard of it, you'll hear more about it later. But a lot of the things you do now are around helping people's mental health. And before we get into the things you're doing now and things you're going to continue to create, I'd like to start where that journey started for you and let people know about who you are.
For sure, man. Just wanted to say before we get into absolutely everything, thank you for having me on, man. It's great. Like, I'm grateful to obviously tell my story. It's sort of, you know, you don't really usually get the opportunity to dive deep and have an open conversation of like your story. You might get snippets through conversations to actually dive into and explore the journey. You know what I mean? So yeah, thank you. It's much appreciated. So yeah, where it all started from, it sort of started as just growing up without a father figure, to be honest. And it sort of, my mum raised me and my sister, and she did an amazing job. Like, hat goes off to her. She did what she could do, but you probably know, as a young boy, it's sort of that father figure really shapes you through your adolescent teens. A father figure will really shape you into the potential man to be in society. So yeah, without that, I was sort of always lost. Yeah, I would say lost. It was sort of, you look at other kids and they've got dads and they're doing better things or doing more in their life, and you always sort of judge from your own perspective of what life could be with a father figure. So I think that had a massive role in my upbringing, and probably it affected me more and more as the years went on with my mental health. And, you get to a certain age, you hang around with the wrong people, you start doing some things that are pretty questionable back then, and sort of bending the rules around the laws and doing some stuff that you probably shouldn't. But in saying that, it's sort of, I would never take back anything that I've done, because those things have definitely shaped me into the person I am today. But I probably, comparing them to not having a father figure, might have still done them, but I reckon I would have learnt and had, someone to help and guide me through when the times got quite tough. So, pretty much as a teen, started getting to a bit of a party scene, getting a bit of into a slump of life with, waiting for the weekend to feel some sort of escape or some sort of feeling around, feeling good. A lot of life might not have felt good.
Yeah.
Ended up jumping the scene for a couple of years and don't get me wrong, sort of loved the moments, but the impact it had in all the other moments in life outside of that, that's where the pain and suffering really started to creep up. And over time, I think it was like 3 or 4 years of just having fun on the weekends and going out and getting on it. Ended up, coming to a moment where I was just like, nah, I need to do something else. Like, this is not who I want to be. Probably one of my biggest moments, sort of epiphany, which is, we can talk about anything here. Sweet. There was a moment where I was sort of dabbling in a couple of psychedelics, and there was a moment where I had a trip, and I sort of came out of it, or through that experience, I came out of it, and I knew that my life needs to change, or else I would not be the person I want to be. So yeah, I sort of took initiative just from that one experience to go, all right, I need to start doing more for myself. So pretty much just decided to change my path, at that moment, and pretty much leave a particular group of friends that I end up, I would spend a lot of time with on the weekends, and nothing against them. Love them all a bit still, like hang out with them a lot these days, still beautiful people. But it's sort of just for me to go down that path, I couldn't be around a certain situation. So ended up going one way. And yeah, pretty much from there, just starting to just set little goals. It was one New Year's. Me and two other mates decided to actually write. It's an interesting story.
Yeah.
We were doing we were partying a fair bit, and we all wanted to have a bit of a break. So we all wrote out on a paper contract for 3 months. We wouldn't drink, we wouldn't do anything. We train, no sugar, no nothing. It was quite a strict contract, and there was one of us that made it to the 3 months, and it was me and another mate who probably made it in about a month. But I think that small moment of push, locking in with a couple of boys, really was the big step for me to go, all right, let's dial in here. Let's see what we can do. And we all had our own little goals. Like one of us wanted to run a marathon by the year, also my goal. So there's two of us like that. And one of our other mates wanted to just get back into get into the gym and be consistent with it. So I remember writing out my goal, and it was like, I want to run a marathon in the year, and I want to run a half marathon in 6 months. And I remember the first run I ever did, it was just around the corner at the St Kilda Oval.
Yep.
And I got to the Oval, drove there. I only lived around the corner, so I couldn't run there. But I drove down to the Oval, and I tried to run a single lap of the Oval. Couldn't make it. Couldn't make one lap of the Oval, not even 400 meters. I was like, all right, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought. Persistence and repetition. I ended up, the goal of a half marathon in 6 months, it ended up doing it in 2 months. I remember that moment as well. It was a bit of a breakthrough as well. It was sort of, I remember going out for a 5K run. Yeah, I went out for a 5K run, and I reckon about the 3K mark, I was really struggling, and I was like, I just got to get a 5. I got to 5, and I started feeling good, and I was like, I've never felt this before. I was like, why am I feeling good after that moment? I was like, I'll just keep going, and if I get sore again, it'll be my PB. If I get to 7, it'll be a PB. So I was like, oh, I'll keep going. I got to 10. I was like, this isn't so bad. I'm like, what's going on here? It was slow, but yeah, all that pain and stuff wasn't really there, and it was sort of more, so in that moment, I was sort of thinking, is it my mindset, not my body here? And I remember getting to 10, and I was like, let's just push it. I'm not that bad. I remember getting to 15, and that's when I hit a bit of a wall, and I was like, fuck. 15K, so this is triple my PB. What's another 5Ks? Come on, Louie. And for me, that was just I had to just grit the teeth, and I was like, no, I'm getting this half marathon done today. And just that sort of feeling of accomplishment, I knew I was going to get to it at a certain point, but being able to do it a lot sooner, I in that moment, in that one particular run, I was like, maybe I do have a lot more in me, that it might just be tucked away. So, dwelled on that, kept training a little bit, and I signed up for my first marathon. The rest of the year was sort of just running, keeping in line, getting in check, getting fitter, eating well. At the time of this whole journey as well, I was quite overweight, so dropping weight, running, eating healthy, and it was starting to become a bit of a good habit setter of just doing the right things. But yeah, the first marathon, that was hell. We'll talk about that. That was hell. I I used to wear these, not these shorts, but I used to wear just like skins. Remember having these Nike skins that I would always run in on my longer runs, and they're a little bit older, but I thought they were all sweat.
I remember this.
Yeah. Oh man, it's got a trauma around it.
Yeah.
I put them on that morning. They're all fine. No worries. And I start running, and I was running with the friend who I signed a contract with earlier in that year, and we started off wanting to do that marathon at the end of the year. So we get running, and we're going to run together the whole time. I remember at about the 3K mark, I was like, I'm a big time chafer anyway, so that's why I wear the skins. And got about 3Ks in, and I'm like, I'm not feeling right. Something's going on here. And I kept running. I got to about the 5K mark, super early in the marathon. You know, you're not even like thinking of the end result yet. You're just like, you're warming up. And I remember looking down at my shorts, and I just see a gash in the skin, like the skin's on one side. I was like, fuck, the shorts broken. And unfortunately, with skins like that fabric, the skin that was that was poking out of the skin was just rubbing on the material on the other side. So at the 5K mark, it was like red raw already. I was like, fuck, what am I going to do here? One of those moments, I'm like, do I pull out of this and just do my own, or just grit the teeth? End up, gritting the teeth. I remember I had my phone on me, and at the time, my partner, she was a huge support for me. And I just remember messaging her about the 20K mark. I just said, I'm fucked here. Like, my shorts are broken. I've got serious chafe. And nothing but support from her. But I was just like, I need to get this done. So ended up knuckling it out. It was a slow marathon. It was my first one. I think I got 5 hours and 2 minutes, which for anyone that does marathon, for your first one, like, it's not necessarily about the time. It's about getting to the finish line. And I just remember at the end of the run, I couldn't walk properly for a week. Straight after, got home, and the actual skins were drenched with blood, and the actual fabric had soaked into the wound. I had to actually physically like peel the fabric out of all this chafing. But both legs, like blood, was grim.
That is, amazing show of discipline and grit. Honestly, grit to get there. I think that's like the David Goggins thing, just run through injury. The other times, like, all right, maybe next time, and it'd be more beneficial to cop the ego bruising of having to bail out.
Big time.
Fuck, if you didn't do it, then it could be a completely different story. So, like you said, it's just grateful for doing it because
definitely, I fully vouch on that as well. And David Goggins was a massive mindset boost for me through that whole year. I even got his motto, "Floats on logs." Tattooed on me. This is at a later date, but it was one of those things. It was sort of after doing a couple of these events, it was like he was someone I looked up to for in that moment to not give in. There's a lot of controversy around his way, a lot of things he does, and I think it's very beneficial for some settings, but maybe not living life to that. But what you can take from him is
you can do it, like you said. So when you had the epiphany, it's like, well, actually, there's way more in here. And if you never lean into, you find an excuse, the skin's ripped, I'll do it another day.
Correct.
Then when you put it off the next time. But the one time you do it, you break through the ceiling, all right, there's more in here.
Big time.
Yeah.
I reckon even with that happening, it was like, all right, I know I've got more in me.
Yeah.
Hey, it was a bit of a setback. I know I can do that.
Yeah.
So that was sort of my first marathon experience, and it was sort of like, all right, I love the moment of finishing and the feeling of accomplishment of a hard feat of endurance. Because I would never have imagined me being a runner or endurance style athlete. I always was weightlifting, bodybuilding. Never really got into footy or anything. So it was never in me to run either. I'm not built for running.
Yeah.
But and even to touch on that, I wouldn't say I'm a runner. I'm just a bloke who gives it a crack. So yeah, would never describe myself as a runner. I'm just a bloke that gives it a crack.
Yeah. Sick.
But yeah, so that was that first sort of chapter of that. And then I sort of wanted to dive into a little bit of the triathlon scene because I was like, you know, I've done the marathon. It was extremely hard. But there's other things that I could probably do to reach that level of accomplishment. So I knew a friend who was doing them, and I sort of reached out to them and got a bit of guidance, and I ended up signing up for my first half Ironman, just because it's obviously, you know, 3 legs forward. It's not just running it. I enjoy swimming, I enjoy riding, hated running at the time. So I was like, bit of everything. And yeah, that was a bit of a journey as well. It took me about 6 months, planned it out, had a set date. COVID came in. And we ended up just pulling the trigger anyway. I think there was about 8 of us that did this prep together. And we ended up just doing it ourselves. So it wasn't like a proper event, but we all jumped in the bay. We did our swim. Straight out of that, we jumped on bikes, did the course on Beach Road. And then, yeah, just jumped in the run, and yeah, that was when it got hard. All that was fun when I hit the run, and it was when it got hard. And I think through that journey, through that run, even though it was only a half marathon, I was like, all right, I've really, like, I know my limits now, and my limit was that half marathon. Like the level of defeat after that first half Ironman, I was like, all right, the running is the hard bit.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, that rolled into another half Ironman where I trained a bit more. Still the same thing. So by running, like what's going on with the running, and sort of push it really hard on the bike, average a really good speed, jump in the water, average a pretty good speed. As soon as I get to the run, no good. So I was like, all right, I want to do more running. Couple more marathons here and there. Never really did like an actual proper prep for a marathon. It was sort of like a 6-8 week little thing. I'd always get niggles. So still to this day, I don't think I've ever done a proper marathon prep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I decided after a couple of half Ironmans as well, I had this idea in my mind. I was like, I really want to do a big run, like a big run, really concentrate on the running. But through doing the half Ironmans, I sort of found a group of people that I like love to train with, and they were all talking about this Cairns Ironman. Like, you should come to it, Louie. Like a full Ironman in Cairns. And at this time, they'd already done one, and I was like, just seeing the team environment up there, all getting around one another. I was like, you know, I might put this big run off on the back burner for a bit. I might do a full Ironman first.
Do you want to explain for people that don't know what a full Ironman involves?
Yeah, of course.
Distances, yeah.
So yeah, the full Ironman consists of a 1.8k swim into 180k bike ride, and then a full marathon at the end. So yeah. And for me, it was like, you know, that half marathon at the end of a half Ironman is that tough moment. So I was like, you know, to do a full marathon at the end of that is, you know, yeah, for me, it was like, all right, maybe this big run that I've got in my mind, I'll put in the back burner and, you know, accomplish this Ironman and then sort of see where that takes me. Yeah. So yeah, decided to sign up for the Cairns Ironman, and that in itself is a bit of a side story on this whole thing. At the time, I was sort of, you know, living in Melbourne, wanted to explore a little bit, and I was like, do I move into state? Like, I've got some friends who live up north, and it looks beautiful, and at that time, I wasn't really happy and satisfied with my job. So I decided to pack my bags packed my car, and I decided to do a bit of a road trip. And about 6 weeks before all this, there was an opportunity to go to Europe with some friends. And so the preparation for the Ironman, so it sounds a little bit crazy, but my life is a little bit crazy. So this prep for this Ironman started, and I think it was only 2 weeks into it, I slipped a disc in my back.
Right.
So couldn't run. Anything on the bike gave me pain. And the only real thing I could do was swim. I was like, I still want to move into state. Like, I'm going to pack my bags and still go. And I was like, look, what I'll do is I'll still got my Ironman ticket. I'll still go up there, but we'll just see how it go. And at that time, there was an opportunity to go to Europe with a couple of friends. There was a spare spot on one of our yachts on a sail with Croatia. I was like, I'm not really training that hard. And I want to experience more in life. I want to move locations. And just decided to pull the trigger on a quick Europe trip. Ended up going to Europe for a couple of weeks. Over there, meet some people, really make connection. I really made a good couple of connections with some friends on a sail, and decided to change my holidays, not go with my friends, but hanging out with these other crew. Mm. We ended up in Ibiza. And we ended up in Ibiza for about a week, and it was a great week. Obviously, lots of partying. But, the times getting closer to the Ironman, it was sort of like, fuck, once I get back, it's sort of like jump in my car and drive up the Cairns. Like, make that whole life switch.
Yeah.
It's through that week, I was like, in my mind, it's sort of like, right, if you go home, like, you're either doing it or you're not. You better make a decision. And I was out one night, just sitting in my thoughts, and I'm like, life's short, like, just go. If you fail, you fail. Go again. So, came home, pretty much jumped in my car the next day after landing, and just hightailed it up to Cairns. I think I had two nights sleep up there before the race, and got to the start line. I said, no, I'm finishing this. I'm fucking doing this. I'm locking in. And so, the day went well. It was interesting. It was sort of another psychedelic little thing on this. I've decided to dabble in a little bit of mushrooms while doing something as well. So I decided, pre-planned, to eat some mushrooms halfway through the bike.
Yeah.
Which you eat in an Ironman, about halfway through an event, halfway through the bike ride, you can actually pull into a zone, and you've got like a little aid station where you pre-plan things and you can refill your bike with nutrition and stuff. And so in my mindset around the whole thing, I was like, look, your preparation's terrible. Your back's feeling all right. Let's just make this as enjoyable as possible. And for me, that marathon distance was always going to be the hard thing. So I sort of planned it to sort of dabble in a little bit of psychedelics and microdose on the bike to maybe take the edge off the run a little bit. So the day started, jumped in the water, got out of the water, and I was like, I'm feeling pretty good here. Like, considering I've never really swum that distance, it's sort of, I feel good. Jump on the bike, do that 90K mark, I'm feeling good. Sweet. Like, same as the half Ironman.
Yeah.
Good in the water, good in the bike. Got to the halfway mark and got these sandwiches that I've made up with the mushrooms in them, put them on my handlebars and just took off. And as I was riding, I ate one of them. I had 2 sandwiches, and especially with endurance events, you need to intake calories and carbohydrates every hour. So the next half of my ride was going to be just these sandwiches. Had one sandwich, and unfortunately the second sandwich, it actually fell off my handlebars and got stuck in between my crank and the frame of the bike. And it was just a big mess. And it was like, it was a mess. Surprisingly, it didn't actually affect my bike at all. Sort of the experience I had on the bike was nothing that I've ever experienced before. First time properly dabbling in like psychedelics and endurance at the same time. And for anyone that hasn't tried it, it's a lot different, and I wouldn't advise it for everyone. But I like to experiment and like try different things, and I'm a bit of a out of the box thinker.
Yeah, I've seen the Diplo's done marathons on acid and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, it's not recommended, but it's a more common trend nowadays, right? People are trying it.
Definitely not a recommendation, or don't take my advice. Like, my story is my story, and everyone else's journey is completely different. But my mentality around it was I like tripping out and like just opening the mindset a little bit. But for this, it was sort of like, let's try and enjoy this as much as possible, because it is going to be an extremely hard feat of endurance. So yeah, like the mushroom started kicking in, and I probably had too much, to be honest. I didn't weigh it out properly. I just made them up and packed my bags. So lucky I dropped the second one. It was almost like a blessing.
Yeah.
Like the universe saying, no, you don't need that, brother. You don't need that at all. So yeah, they started kicking in, and I remember I was just getting to the end of the ride, and my legs were feeling a little bit heavy at that time. And I was like, all right, I know I've done a marathon. I've done multiple marathons now, and I know I can do the distance. Forget about what you've done now. Now you just got to run. I was like, sweet. It's just self-talk, just like reassuring myself, just another run. Like, you've done it before, you can do it again. And if you know the course on the Cairns Ironman track, it's sort of, you start running from the town out to the port on the jetty, back into town, and then down to the airport and back into town. And on that section of when you're in town, there's like bars and pubs and all that, and sort of run literally right past these pubs. And yeah, it was sort of on the first lap. It's a 10K course, so you've got to do 4 of them.
Yeah, right.
On the first lap of the course, I was running past the pub. And if you've ever been to a big endurance event like a marathon or Ironman or anything, you know, like, a lot of people are silent. All you hear is footprints. Not many people talking. Like, it's quite quiet out there. And I remember seeing these guys, and I'm sort of, not tripping out, but definitely experiencing a lot of things while running. And I remember looking at these guys, and they were just yelling at everyone running past. And it sort of like, it gave me this sense of just energy. They were yelling at me, and I was looking at them, and I was like, I just yelled at them back. Let's fucking go. And it's just like, it's like they hadn't received any energy back yet. So as soon as I gave them that little bit of like energy back, just it erupted, and it wasn't just them. They were like, people next to them started yelling loud, and it was just like a wave of like energy, and it was like nothing that I've ever experienced before. And I was like, holy shit, like, I feel like I'm running on clouds here. And as the run got further and further, obviously getting harder and harder, but every single lap before I saw them, they were waiting for me. Same thing, just yelling at me, and I'd yell at them back. It was just like this wave of, I knew every single lap I'd get the same feeling. So just went through the process, each lap, ticking them off.
That makes it so much easier. I feel you. All right, I just need to get another 10K, and I'll see them again, and they'll recharge.
But then it was literally like a recharging moment, man. Like, out there, it's silent. Like, you look around, and people are just like hurting,
Just trying to breathe.
trying to survive. And you're like, you're out in the course, and like, you're just having fun, and it's just a different sort of mindset around it. So yeah, it was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
Finished. There's a funny moment sort of towards the end of the race. The red carpet situation, you run down it. There's a commentator at the very end, and he sort of reads out your name, and he's like, oh, Jack, you're an Ironman. David, you're an Ironman. And he gets to me, and at the time, there wasn't too many people, so like, he started calling it out pretty early. He's like, oh, Lewis, you're an Ironman. And at this point, like, I was so hyped. I'm like, I've fucking done it. You fucking made it. And he's like, you're an Ironman. I just screamed back. I'm like, say it again. And he's like, you're an Ironman. I'm like, one more time. And he's like, you say it. And he gives me the microphone. And I just remember, like, my friends are my friends on the sideline, and they're recording, and all I say is, I'm a fucking Iron Man, like screaming into this microphone. And it's a family friendly event. So there's a female commentator as well, and all she's like, oh, you can't say that. And I'm just like, I'm out of here.
I remember watching that video. And I was like, yes, that's so good.
But going even back to the grit in the teeth moment, you finish running. I get my medal, and out the back of the stands, they've got like all fast food and stuff, so you can just get calories in. I remember looking down at my watch, and it said 41.5. I'm like, that's not a fucking marathon. I don't fucking done a marathon here. So I walked past all the foods, got my medal, got my towel, got everything. I walked out, like, my mates hugging me and all that jazz. I was like, someone fucking help me run this last 700 meters. And they're like, what? I'm like, I haven't done the marathon yet. And that was the highest 700 meters in my life. Like, once you won, obviously through it, you have like small moments where you can walk from like pre-fuel and stuff. But I stopped. I physically stopped, got my medal, got my towel, walked out the bar. I think I even sat down for a moment. And that's when I realized, I was like,
Could have get lost.
I'm not finishing this until I'm done. So yeah, went out and did the 700 meters in the park. It wasn't even a run. It was more of a limp at that point. But yeah, that's the story of the Ironman, man. It was sort of, incredible moment. Going back from where we were doing to start this conversation, it's like slow progression over time. This is a journey of like 3-4 years of on and off training, like little like goal setting of like 400 meters, half marathon, full marathon, multiple marathons, half Ironmans, full Ironman, and all of a sudden there's this little thing in the back of my mind. Let's do 100K. And I was like, for me, running was always the thing that I didn't like to do. It was sort of the thing that I dreaded. So I was like, let's do some fucking hard shit. Like, you've done Ironman. Don't get me wrong, it is hard, but for me, at the end of it, I was like, I have so much more in me. Like, my mind is a lot stronger than my body right now. So let's really dial it up here and push the boundaries of what I think I'm capable of. And at that moment, I sort of said, 100K run. Let's do it. So that journey of life began. It was probably about another year between Ironman and 100K run. Ended up changing the dates a couple of times. And at the time of like thinking about it, I wanted to do a solo, just like a journey of myself and like getting from here and accomplishing. That's the word. I can't say it today. But yeah, like the whole next year was sort of, I think this is the start of even Miles4Smiles. We'll dive into that a little bit after this, but meeting some people doing the half Ironman, made more friends through running and, keeping fit. And I met this guy called Jack. And previously that year, the same year I did the Ironman, he just completed 50 kilometers for 50 days and absolutely smashed it. And I'd go down there and support him, and we were friendly, we were talking. And he heard about the 100K run that I wanted to do. And he was like, man, I'd love to come and do it with you. And he's like, the only thing is I'm away and can't do it that date. So I'd set up this big thing for a certain date. And, having him to be able to come and help me do mine, I was like, man, I'll move the date, of course.
Yeah.
So at the very start of this idea of running 100K solo, it became, let's get people who want to push the boundaries all together and like create a day of punishment, pretty much. We ended up getting 16 boys down there to give 100Ks. And at that point, no one had done 100. No, Jack. I think Jack had previously done a 100K run before. No, he had. Yeah, him and another bloke had done 100K, so it wasn't their first. But I think there was 14 of us who hadn't run 100Ks, and yeah, not much to say in that run itself, other than we got it done. But the biggest thing from that event was bringing people together and being able to push the boundaries of what we thought we were capable of. And we all thought we could do it, but then doing it together, we realized, man, like, fuck, the power's in the team. You know what I mean? Like, coming together and just pushing one another. Like, you're down, I'll help you. I'm down, you help me. Like, it's just a circle. There was one moment in this event where my friend Daniel lays into the bloke. I think it was not even that far into the run. Oh, it was far, but I think it was about the 70K mark.
Yeah.
About 30 Ks to go.
It's not that far in the context of 100, but you've still come 70 so far.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still an ultra marathon within itself.
Yeah.
But I remember just seeing him struggling hard, just at the start of the race, or not race, the event. He was sort of up the front. We ended up breaking into a bit of a two-crew thing. Some of the quicker boys, fitter boys were at the front, and obviously the sluggers were at the back. And yeah, Daniel started up to the front, and then all of a sudden we caught up to him, and he was running solo. And I just remember looking at him. He was fully defeated at 70, and I was like, I'm not fucking letting you finish.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not letting you quit. Like, there is no chance of you're fucking quitting on me. And yeah, pretty much the next 30 Ks, it was just toe on toe, like just G'ing him up. Even though I was hurting, it's like, brother, you're doing this. And yeah, we ended up getting to the finish line. So such an emotional finish line as well. It was just like that moment of like proudness for myself, and like also proudness on him, like finishing. Yeah, everyone finishing, but just like seeing someone go through so much pain, it gave me so much fulfillment.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, man, like the power of being someone to someone else.
Yeah.
Obviously, in a physical sense, what we're talking about now. But it was just like, man, we have so much more power within us as people to help one another. And that's then even further. That's the idea of Miles4Smiles.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about just quickly that event? Because that did the rounds of the socials and stuff as well, like builds up to get the support. How important is having the support of a community, like, to get events like that up and running, to be able to hold the space to have you guys do that? Because I know you did with, like, Ryan helped you, with training.
Yeah.
A bit of a platform himself to get more eyes on it and that sort of thing. How much, because you could have done it by yourself, but how much easier does it make it having people supporting you in your crazy ideas? You know what I mean? Like, people be like, oh, instead of having friends who go, no, probably shouldn't do that, it's too far, you get injured. Yeah. You go, no, fuck it, let's do it. Like, let's help each other get there.
It's literally, it made it what it was. Without that, I knew it was going to get done, but having that community and, platforms and stuff, it reached more eyes. Like, one of the key things from this situation is there was a guy who knew of Ryan, but no one else knew him. His name was Andreas. And Ryan put up this post saying, I'm going to run 100 Ks next week with no prep. And out of the blue, this guy called Andreas messaged him. He's like, hey man, like, I'd love to come and run it. And during that week, we all got together. We had to sit down and just map things out. And he came, introduced himself. And he had not met any of us. And he just came down, didn't have a car, didn't have anything, living in St Kilda, caught a train down to Sandy, and just came to the pub, sat down, we had a meal. No one knew him. Yeah, just a random bloke. That bloke has now turned into a role model for so many people, big part of the Miles4Smiles community, and an absolute, like, such a genuine man. That's the reason why we have platforms, man. Like, without that platform, we would have never had the experience. We would have never had that moment to experience him, meeting him, now him having such an impact on everyone.
Yeah, he's a big man.
Yeah.
Oh, and stuff. Crazy.
Yeah. We were just talking about him before.
Like,
yeah. Absolute craziness. But yeah, that platform and community is everything, man. Like, without him over the next journey of this chapter, you know, probably wouldn't have been able to achieve nearly as much. So, you know, that one post that Ryan put up has dived into impacting the Miles4Smiles and everything else.
Yeah, like the Pulsate, was it Pulsate that got on board as well? Was that
Yeah,
one team? Like,
yeah,
community's huge, man. Like,
yeah.
you know,
Hats off to them as well. Like they really helped us host that. Starting an event there, finishing there, holding barbecue, having people there in the car park and stuff. Like, yeah, very, very thankful to all those guys there that, you know, jumped on board to like community, you know what I mean? They see someone wanting something and they offer their services, and it's, you know, it made it doable. So yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Before we touch on Miles4Smiles, I want to
Yeah,
talk
cool.
more about the journey. We're going to go away from running for a bit.
Please.
The journey that got you to have the epiphany of like how you want to help people.
Yeah.
I really want to touch on the Vipassana that you did in the Adelaide Hills.
Of course.
So for those who don't know what that is, it's a silent retreat. So you're just going there, being with yourself only. Yeah, well, you can explain a bit of me. I haven't gone. Yeah, I'll let you do the honors.
To come to it, it was actually after the 100K run.
Yep.
So after that chapter of life, I was in the mindset of like, all right, I can physically push myself to the limits. I want to explore maybe mentally. And I remember just going for a casual run with a friend, and he was talking about this Vipassana course that he did. And I just remember him saying it was the hardest thing he'd ever done. And this is a bloke who'd done half Ironmans, just marathons and all that jazz. And he was not a runner either. I was like, you reckon it was harder than the marathon? He's like, 10 times harder. And I was like, sign me up. Sign me up. So I didn't look into it whatsoever. Didn't know anything about it in class, and I didn't know anything about it. My mindset around spirituality and all that jazz, I dive into a little bit, but I knew nothing about the Vipassana or what it entailed. I just knew it was a silent retreat. Didn't know it was Buddhism style. I'm not going to call it religion, because it's not pushed as a religion there. It's just a practice that Buddhism is used in. And ended up just signing up, knew nothing about it, just rocked up. My mentality was around it. I signed up for one in Adelaide. So if I decided to pull the pin and quit on it, I'd have to drive 10 hours to get home. And for me, that was like a moment where it was like, that 10-hour drive is going to do a lot. Like, that's going to hurt me a lot more than just doing a 10-day course.
10 hours of going, you failed.
You failed.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it. And at this point in time, through all this endurance, I was like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. So it was just another thing I put in place to, you know, make sure that I can do it. You know, day one, want to quit. Yeah, pull the pin.
Yeah.
It was more necessarily calming the mind, like sitting in a lot of things. It's sort of, my whole life I've lived in my own mindset of like how I operate. And I've got a bit of ADD, so my mind is always racing. It's thinking of a million things at once, and it's so hard to dial that back and really focus. So to try and sit in silence and calm this mind, so difficult, man. Like, it might have been a little bit easier for someone that might not have a bit of ADHD or those traits. But for me, man, that first day, fully silent, trying to quiet my mind, was one of the hardest days of my life.
Yeah.
And I remember so it's a silent retreat. You can't talk to anyone. You can't, you know, you go and look at people. It's, what's it called? It's called something silence. It's going to come to me, but it's like, you know, you can be silent, but you can actually communicate with people by visually looking at them, or like body language. So it was like, you are not allowed to interrupt someone else's silence. So you don't look at people, and you're in a dorm of 20 people all meditating at the same time. You eat in the same room, but you can't interrupt someone else's silence. So it's for me, I like talking, I like communicating, I like being around people and stuff. It was about, it was coming towards the end of day one, and the daily practice was about 12 to 14 hours of meditation every day. And through that, there's breaks in between, your tea break, which might be 10 minutes, and then you back into a session of an hour to 2 hour meditation. Then a bit of a lunch break, you get to stretch the legs. They did a beautiful spot in the Adelaide Hills where their backyard was just a big open field, gum trees everywhere, overlooks the hills. Like there's kangaroos that just come into the facility and they live there. But yeah, so the whole day consists of like 12 to 14 hours of meditation. I think on the first day, it was at the end of the second last meditation session, and my whole mindset was, no, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna leave. And you're able to sit with hold on, I'm not gonna say preacher, but the guider, there's a guy who guides the whole course. And I remember him sitting me down. He sits down with everyone and asks them a couple of questions every single day about things, and like gives them little tips. And I remember just sitting down and looking at him, and he only said one sentence to me, but it just like that moment there probably changed my life forever. That one sentence, because he's like, he said, these next 12 days will change your life forever. And at that moment, I was ready to quit. I was literally going to tell him, like, I can't do this. But he looked at me with him. You could probably just see him. He's so defeated already. And he's just like, these next 9 days will change your life forever, really. And I was like, let's get through day one. I slept it off. That same mindset sort of carried on to day two. End up pushing through that, getting through it. And I think day two, we gave me some other advice, but can't remember that as much. But the first day conversation, I remember so vividly, because I was like, I need to do this. Like, I've come here to work on my mindset, and I want to do something hard. I know by completing something really hard, it's going to really help my mindset, get back my life outside of all this endurance and everything else. So yeah, day two to day three, same thing, wanted to quit. And through this practice, it's all about sort of quieting the mind and really focusing on feeling. And it all starts with breathing. So it all day one is just breathing through your nose for 12 to 14 hours. Just feeling. It's to break it into a simplest term, it's just sensations. And everything we do, everything we feel is all sensations. So, when you go to scratch a leg, you're not telling your body to do it. It's your unconscious mind telling you to do it. Because you don't need to tell your body to itch. Your mind knows it's itchy, so it just does it. You know what I mean? And that is your unconscious mind controlling your actions. And to talk on that in everyday life, it's sort of, reactive people, like road rage especially, you get into a certain situation and you react. And it's not necessarily your body, your mindset telling you to do it, it's your unconscious mind. It's like reaction. It's like someone does something to you, you're angry. You didn't tell yourself to get angry. You didn't tell yourself to pick something up. It's like, bang, you're angry. And all of a sudden, everything goes downhill from there.
Yep.
So through this whole practice, it's about learning sensations and like tapping into the unconscious mind and pushing past those urges. We feel sensations everywhere we go, like getting sitting on this couch. My ass is going to get sore. I'm going to move to, not be sore. But that's the unconscious mind. By sitting in that pain, and not reacting, you start correlating the unconscious mind and not letting it control things. Over these 10 days, it was a whole journey of like exploring into my mind and not allowing emotions to control how I live my life. And up to this moment, like I thought I was good. But I realized after this, I was like, hey, dude, nah, you're not good. You need to do a lot more work on a lot of things within your life to be the man you want to be. And, you know, that was just one part of the thing. But obviously sitting in silence, you know, you have so many thoughts of life and, you know, what you want to do. And, you know, some people go into these courses and want to come out not drinking or, you know, quitting alcohol. I know something. Like
sobriety of some sort.
Yeah, of course. Like people will go to this for something, but I think with me not knowing anything about it, sort of coming in blindsided, was probably the best thing because I didn't know anything about it. So through this whole journey, learned all these tools of like, you know, coming to realizations with a lot of things in past relations and, you know, my reactivity, my controls around my emotions. Like I had no control over my emotion. My emotions controlled me my whole life. And I didn't know. So yeah, massive tool to learn, man. I would urge everybody to think about doing some sort of mental work, I reckon. So
when you realize that your emotions control you, is there a moment that stands out that you're like, this is why they control me? Or like a moment that you've...
I don't think necessarily one moment really stood out to me in particular, but I just have a lot of realizations, especially with probably my last relationship, where, you know, I'm learning that this unconscious self and like controlling these sensations all over my body, and then things sort of happen in this course and you don't let your emotions get you, and it's just like you start thinking of the times that you have let them get to you, and it's like, oh, this happened and I probably did this happened, I did that. It's like you start thinking of all these things and like examples in your life where it's things have happened. So yeah, I wouldn't say one thing in particular, but like a lot of moments came up to me while obviously sitting there meditating for 12, 14 hours a day. So yeah, you just sort of start reviewing your life and it's like, here, like, right, what can I do? Like, what can I do to start making that change and not do this? And then the Vipassana was the thing, you know. The Vipassana for me was a tool. And everyone can look at it a different way, but me coming out of the Vipassana, it was just a tool for me to implement in my life. And that was probably one of the biggest game changers since, for sure.
It's huge.
Maybe you bring in my closer to the...
Oh, yeah. Because we've spoken a lot after that, and you're like, dude, change my life. Like, I remember you saying, I know my purpose now. I know what I need to do. This is like, you just seem so sure of something clear on what your purpose was. And I want to go back when you said that, you know, there's a moment when you were younger and you realized that you had an option to be, like, you weren't being who you wanted to be, who you're supposed to be, and you want to change for that. Who were the two people? Who do you think, like, what was the path you were leading yourself down? And at that time, who did you think you wanted to be?
The person I wanted to be was just a happy person.
Yeah.
Just a happy version of myself. And I didn't know what happiness looked like, but I just know that path I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What you're doing wasn't leading you down path of happiness.
Correct. Yeah. And over time it was getting worse and worse. So it wasn't just like that I'm not good. It was like a slow, gradual experience of like more, getting more depressed, more stressed. Sort of like, yeah, it all banks up.
Yeah. And because they're doing the past, it's not going to make you happy, but it's going to give you clarity on what your purpose is and that will lead hopefully to happiness.
Correct. For sure.
So we spoke about it, but I'd love for people to know, through moments of silence, cleaning the filing cabinet of your mind, going through those moments, ticking things off, finding things out, what was that thing of clarity to go, all right, this is what I've got to do?
So one of the main things, sort of there was about three things that sort of came to me. And one was obviously the fun business and wanted to really push that and be successful, to live a life of how I want it to be. The second one was just something to do with family, which I won't go into, it's a bit private. Okay. And the third one was helping others. Now, I've lived my life, and I wouldn't say necessarily I was selfish, but I just know that potentially maybe through the 100K run that we did, that the power that you have as an individual, you can have such an impact on another person. And so for me, that third point in the past, and it was like, I want to help, I want to change people's lives through any way means possible. And for me, going through my mental health struggles still, I was like, no, I want to be a person to help another person. Like, I've gone through all these things, still depressed, still struggling with mental health issues. Obviously no one gets to the end of depression and they're good, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lifetime of up and downs. But through my experience, I've learned so many tools. I'm like, even just one of those tools, not pushed to anyone, but as like an open book, it's like, hey, I'd love to, help you help yourself. So yeah, that was the main thing. And the idea of Miles4Smiles came along through that. It was like mental health charity, non-for-profit mental health charity, where we can do things to help others, like not for ourselves. So
yeah, I loved it because when you were telling me about it, and no one knows where the money for charity goes. We see events and that put on, and like World Vision, Red Cross, all those things. Not for profit doesn't mean that there's no money in it for people. Like we saw with the bushfires, millions and millions of dollars were donated, and we haven't seen that used. How is it getting used? So I know that you guys, through your previous experience as well with Jack and the money, raising money, you're like, put it on yourself. So we're gonna do something cool with this money, not just raise awareness. We're actually gonna help people, and that's what I love. It's like cool because, through the power of celebrity, through the power of the news, they use their platforms to get people on board to donate money.
Yep.
Realistically, a lot of that, if you have a charity, can be used tax write-off. And that's what separates Miles4Smiles between some billionaires' charity, when they could literally just donate that money themselves to help people. And you guys genuinely want to help people. And that's why I love, giving an opportunity for people to learn about what it is. Love supporting you guys in any way possible. So yeah. Oh yeah, let's get into Miles4Smiles.
Yeah.
What was done start of this year, what you're building, what you've done, how you're helping people, all of it.
Yeah. So on Miles4Smiles, it's actually the only mental health charity that is hand in hand with physical movement. So the story of all the endurance stuff that I've personally done, the other guys have done too as well. So through the running, through Jack and Charlie, like both great runners, and that's how we've all come together. You all thought of what more can we do for one another. We all have our own struggles with mental health. We all have done work on ourselves. But the idea was, we all want to take it that next step and like do what we now love doing, which is pushing the brink of physical exertion, raising money to help others around their mental health. So yeah, Jack raised some money for another organization and didn't really work out the best way possible. So we were just like, why don't we all do something to do it for ourselves, for our community? So yeah, we got the ball rolling on creating a charity, which was hard. Lots of paperwork. So got the ball rolling on that, and then started organising our first big fundraiser, which was late last year. Yeah, it was late last year. It sort of carried over. And no, it didn't carry over into this year at all. It was all the end of last year. But at the time, Jack had run 50Ks for 50 days consecutively. He wanted to take it up a notch and do 100Ks consecutively for 100 days, which is mind-boggling. Like, absolutely crazy. Charlie, he wanted to step up his running capability and do 50Ks for 100 days consecutively. And then there was Ozzy, which is Jack's uncle, which is there's four of us. Ozzy rides his bike. He usually rides with Jack at all times.
Yeah.
And he'd done the 50/50s, and he wants to do the 100/100s. So
that's the clumsy riding man.
that's the climb
On the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was their journey. And then, my journey was like, all right, what can I do? I was like, epiphany in the past. And I was like, I want to run 42Ks for 42 days, but I want to help 42 people run their first marathon. So that feeling of helping Daniel with a 100K run, I was like, I know what I can do for someone else when they're struggling. I was like, I want to be able to help 42 people run their first marathon. Unfortunately, they're all great plans and great ambitions, but it's always hard to, obviously, when you're pushing the brinks of that level, it's, you can come up short.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Jack came up short. I came up short. Charlie actually nailed it. He completed it. And then, the clumsy riding man obviously did what Jack did. But still such a great experience all together. My part of the journey, it was a crazy ride through this event. We ran from Cairns down to Melbourne. So the first 50 days were from Cairns along the coast back down to Melbourne. And then the last 50 days were back in Melbourne to get as many people there as possible. And we had to end up calling the pin. We got to Canberra, and Jack's body was just no good. His mindset was all over the place, and we decided to reevaluate the situation and pull the pin, drive back to Melbourne, and start the last 50 days in Melbourne, and pretty much reset again. And I think he still did a great effort out there. I think he did 35, 36 out of the 50 days on the road. So still a great achievement. But what I found was the crew that we had probably wasn't the best crew to have helping. There's probably too many family members involved, which was probably made a massive impact on how things played out. There's a lot of things that I don't agree with happen. A lot of people that I think shouldn't have been there, but it is what it is, and we learn from these experiences. But through this experience, I was pretty much running a car and caravan, motorhomes, but caravans every night. So I was pretty much moving caravans, making food, setting up the aid stations at every 10 kilometres every day. And then also towards the end of the day, I would have to still get my run in because my event kicked off and got back to Melbourne for the first 42 days. And I just don't think with the chaos of it all, doesn't sound like much, but every day, so much pressure, making food, moving cars, filling cars up.
Well, an aid station every 10Ks is 1 an hour. Like, that means you got to pack up, head to the next. Yeah.
Yeah. When you break down, it's not that much, but there's a lot when it comes to someone who's pushing the limits. Like, you're living through their emotion, their pain. So it's like, some aid stations we might have to stop for 2 hours. It's like, fuck, we're jumping in, we need to go, and fuck, what's going on? And, there'd be days where you can only get 20, 30 days in, and it was just balls to the wall, and it impact everyone. Everyone's down now. Like, it's like, fuck, what's going on? Like, I'm actually going to complete this. So, yeah, mentally super taxing on myself, to be honest. And I think that rolled into some niggles. So my running that whole year, I did a really big preparation to do 42 marathons back to back. And I remember we left Sydney, and it was about 2 weeks before we got back to Melbourne. So it was a week and a half. These niggles had just gotten a little bit worse. I remember waking up one day. Well, I knew the recovery wasn't. You can't really recover great on the road. Like,
Yeah.
we're setting up ice baths, but by the time I'm getting Jack's clothes out, like getting his dirty ones away, eating, cooking, doing like all the small stuff, I wasn't recovering myself. And there was this one run, I just could not get moving. Like this whole prep, my body was feeling good. Like I had niggles, but when you start doing back-to-back runs, you realize when your body is just stiff or it's a natural injury, you start knowing like your feeling muscles. And a lot of the time you can run through stiffness, and all of a sudden you break through that and you feel good again. But most of my runs, I wouldn't feel good until 10Ks.
Yeah.
The first hour I was just warming them up. But this one day, couldn't move. My calves were blown up and I just could not run. Got to literally stumbled to the first kilometre mark, and I was like, can't do it to run.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, fuck, I'm in a bit strife here. And, Primo, let's just go in tomorrow. For that whole week, I could not run a kilometre. So, like, I'm 5 days out from my event, running 42 Ks.
Yeah.
2 days with 42 people, and couldn't run.
Yeah.
So the boys did excellent. I ended up reshaping my event to sort of still get as many people involved to help push them, but also try and look after my body as much as possible. So I ended up just bunching some people up on the weekends. I'd run once a week, but then I might get 2 or 3, 1 or 2 people in at a time. And lots of people pulled out, unfortunately. I think we ended up with about 35 that were interested. Then people just drop out and lose interest and all that jazz. But I ended up helping about 9 people run their first marathon.
Yeah.
So,
and a few people did like 50 and stuff for the first time as well, right?
Yeah.
And,
So
I'm on the traps. Yeah.
I should say that as well. It was like they weren't just marathons, some were ultra marathons. So yeah, I think 5 of them. 5 people ended up running 50s instead of 42s.
Yeah, unreal.
So, yeah, super grateful to obviously be able to do that for them and with them as well. So my main thing was keeping their nutrition. Like, all you had to do was get to the start line and I'll get you to the finish.
Yeah.
Like, I'll hold the water, I'll hold the gels, I'll hold the food, I'll hold the music.
Yeah.
All you got to do is chat shit with me for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up banking them all together, like getting people through, and yeah, super grateful to be able to do that for another human being. Like, it definitely gave, obviously my milestone of doing what I wanted to do wasn't here, but I think being able to do that, even just one person, like even before the event started, I said, even if I help one person, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
And being able to do that for 9 people was incredible, man.
Yeah.
So
good. Because it's like, the goal of having 42 is unreal, but at the end of the day, if you didn't set the goal at all, you would have had 9. So you got 9. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's kind of... So you said it was like mentally challenging. I remember I drove out there to go run one day. I was in Melbourne for literally a day. Like, I'm just on board and run. Yeah, no, we're not there. They're doing night shift for when they switch to 100 miles a day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess we can talk about that, the 100 miles, but yeah, you said you were there. It was mentally taxing. What's the burden like of feeling the need to shop? Obviously, you had the awareness to go, no, I've got to tap out. The burden of going, I'm running this thing for mental health, and my mental health is at stake now. What's it like? What was that conversation internally like with you there? Because, just quickly, because you already had that consideration when you went to the Vipassana, like, if I have to drive home quitting.
Yep.
I can't live with myself almost.
Yep.
So what was it like having to go, no, I have to suck it up and go, I can't. Like, I need to look after my mental health first and foremost.
I think the more mental health impact wasn't necessarily the running aspect. It was more
The logistics
thing.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's what I mean. Like, what was the part of going, I can't, for my mental health, I can't be at this space.
Yep.
I need to step back when you know that there was so much effort going into it and you've gone, no, I have to step back. What was that whole thing like in your mind?
Weight off my shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was no negative thought around it. It was very easy decision to make to walk away from because of how negative that environment was. So, yeah. Yeah, so it was only positivity walking.
Yeah.
To be honest.
And that's the thing, a good thing for people to take into consideration is you only see the stories on Instagram, the posts, which is the positive stuff. Obviously, post the hardship that everyone is going through physically. And like Jack was really struggling at times with his health. But no one ever sees the behind the scenes, the logistics, the stress of having to organize a place overnight because you've had to pull over. We just can't do this. How do we organize that? The mental anguish that people go through of having to run an event like that because of what, like skeleton crew, friends and family helping out. No one's a professional in running a charity event. It's just a bunch of people trying to help people. So that would be fucking hard. And
Yeah.
for people to see how raw that actually is, I think that's important because people go, oh, well, they just have all the shit sorted. They've got guys that are running this event. He's done an event before. It's like, nah. Like you said, organizing caravans, buses, places to stay, then going, all right, who knows a mile in fucking some country town in Queensland offered, you're running along a highway for 2 days.
Yeah.
That stuff is hard. Like people don't just have their shit sorted. They just make it work the best they can.
Yeah. And unfortunately, around our social media side of things, we plan to capture a lot of that stuff. Unfortunately, the communication probably wasn't the greatest between a couple of us, and the message wasn't really delivered well. Yeah, there's lots of that stuff that I wish through this event that we did capture and promote because it wasn't just energy up, run. For me, the story was about the whole journey, and unfortunately, we didn't promote the whole journey. So yeah, if I had my time again, I would change it completely and like show the people what it was like. Because there's a whole other side to it that people deserve to see.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff on social media is winning, good, but like you need to see the raw, like you need to see the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's what got Ned's 100-mile attempt so much media was him fucking crying in agony. And like, I know that all of you guys went through the same sort of stuff too, because anyone fucking would doing that. And that's what I wanted to, the whole point of this chat is to humanize people doing great things because people only see the great things. We're not realizing how fucking hard and just normal people are that do that stuff. Like I remember meeting Jack when I went to the Miles4Smiles run, and that was the day of the Run Melbourne.
Yep.
And he's just a fucking regular dude, just like happy to have a chat. I was like, this guy just, can run 100Ks for days on end. Not because he's an extreme athlete. He's just a normal guy that just has the want to do that. Like, he's not, Yeah.
Like I would never consider him as an ultra marathoner, but he's just a man that if he wants to dial it in, he can. Find that inner strength to just push and push and push.
Yeah.
It's like that, that quit. Where is his quit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's crazy.
Unreal.
Yeah, it's just regular people, man.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's also developed over time. It's not just like, hey, you're gonna step into the gym for the first time and do like the hardest workout you're gonna do and not quit because you need to be that non-quitter. It's like, what we've just explained for this whole time. It's like slow, progressive increments of more and more and more.
Face adversity, get stronger. Face adversity, get stronger. Gotta keep pushing the limits.
It's literally, it's fucking tattered. It's fall, rise. Yeah. It's life. You can't just ride. You got to fall to step up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, slow increment, forward motion steps.
Yeah, bit by bit, little by little, get better. Get hard. Carry some fucking birds.
Bobs and loves.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. What's next for you? You going out on your own? I know you're like going busy on the work.
Yeah.
What's, like you said, it's like 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
What's the sense of achievement like for that versus a run? And then what do you want to build from there? Business, personal?
So right now, obviously, since the event's finished and everything's quieting down a little bit, taking a bit of a step back, not away, but just a step back from Miles4Smiles while we work through a couple of roadblocks. For me, growing the business was probably the biggest thing I wanted to next take. I mean, the last 3, 4, 5 years even has been about fitness and endurance and pushing my physical, levels. The past and sort of more mental, and even the last probably like over the years, probably like really dialing in my emotional side of things and trying to learn and push my emotional senses out there. So yeah, I think moving forward it'll be to grow the plumbing business.
Brad Plumbing.
Brabant Plumbing, if you ever need plumbing, southeast suburbs, you know where to go to. I've got some ideas. I wanted to do a really big run soon again. Sorry, not soon. I've got some things in my mind for potentially the end of next year. This year I've got a couple of plans with a couple of marathons, but not anything crazy, just casual.
Just a casual marathon. Yeah.
Well, I've got a thing. I like to do marathons when I travel.
Yeah.
So when I went to America 2 years ago, that was my thing. I was like, I'm doing a marathon in America. And I'm just about to go to Europe, and I'm sort of thinking, I want to maybe try and do a marathon in every country I go to, potentially. If my body holds up. The last 6 months I've been coming back from injuries and all that. We might give it a crack. We'll see how it goes. I might start, see if I can get the first one done. And if I can, roll on to the second, and we'll just play it by ear. But it's not something I need to do, but it's also something that sort of, for me, when I push my physical boundaries, I know that it helps me with my mental side of things. Like the reassuring self-belief of being able to achieve something difficult impacts a lot of my life in other aspects. So yeah, for maybe the last 6 months I haven't pushed that, but I've also needed a big break.
Yeah.
The last 3, 4, 5 years have been hard.
Yeah.
But super beneficial. Like I've been able to do what I have and like be where I am now. I'm super grateful for everything. Super grateful for all the wrongdoings and the falls, man, because without them I wouldn't be where I am now. So
This can be recent from the last 5 years or from as far as you want to go. What are some of the key falls that you are grateful for? What, and like maybe cause the biggest rise?
separation from a relationship. Yeah, I would say my last relationship was a massive moment of realization of the person I am not. And I was like, I want to be a good man. I'm not saying I wasn't, but I was showing traits of being a person that I knew I didn't want to be and probably didn't have the capacity to know and see that. And I really feel like the past was that moment of like rewiring the brain, like looking back at that, really thinking about the moments of where I could have done more and all that jazz. But that relationship definitely made the biggest shift. I'd say that.
What were some of the traits that you, that looking back now, were a person you didn't want to be, do you think?
Reactive, like definitely not capable of controlling emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. My emotions definitely were all over the shop. Not necessarily, never aggressive or anything, but just being able to listen and support, like especially for females, I think, as men who just want to fix. Give me a problem, I'll fix it. But sometimes it's, complete opposite. Maybe they just want presence. They just need someone that will listen. And for me, I never understood that. I was never taught that. My role model was as a young child, maybe not being taught that. So for me, all I knew was just fix the solution, mate. Like, I'm here to help. I'm always a helper. But yeah, that wasn't the situation in this case. She needed someone to listen. I just didn't. So yeah, thinking back on that, it was like the most obvious thing, but I just didn't have the tools I wasn't capable of doing it. So yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was about 2 years ago now. And yeah, since then, yeah, my life's definitely changed for the better in nearly every aspect, man. Like, once you start working on yourself mentally and emotionally, like, I feel like the physical side of things, a lot of people can just go out there and achieve those things and get there physically, but it's the mental and emotional things that people, men, women, need to do a lot more of. And it's sometimes, like, for some it's not much, but for some it's a lot of work. And I don't think that work is never completed. It's always gradually, like, life changes.
It's growing life, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to throw you curveballs, and it's about adapting to those situations and, like, yeah, growing consistently throughout life.
Do you have any positive role models, male role models growing up?
I had role models, but I wouldn't necessarily call them, like, I would never look up to them. There was some family members that, you know, were role models, but I would definitely not, like, I wouldn't look up to them and be like, I want to be more like you. There were some people that came in my life that, you know, were role models. I would definitely say one of our friends, Luke Doozer.
Yeah.
Easy. I met him, when did I meet him? Probably about 6-7 years ago. He was a massive, like, I was just on that brink of, like, changing my life. And he came into my life. It's the universe putting people on your path for certain reasons. And he really was a role model in me on his journey and what he was doing to better. Learned lots of him, man. But younger, I wouldn't say I had any.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I think it was more when I was becoming an adult and learning more about myself. That's when I started looking at, like, not seeking, but definitely noticing and, like, you know, getting things from other people.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because, like, for me, I remember when we met, and it was like Sarah Will's place. Just one night, you come over. I was with me and mate there, and you started
I'm worried.
No, I was just like sober. Like, drove there.
Really?
Just hanging out. With Bailey.
Yep.
If you're listening and you know who they are, know who they are. If not, it's not. The names aren't significant.
Great people.
Great people. But I was like, this dude's a legend. Like, I was like, so, like, yeah. I mean, obviously there's a lot has changed with you, but from my first impression, I was like, oh, this is a humble, nice ass dude, down to earth, good to chat. And that's, I was like, did you, because you said no dad, fell into, you could say, wrong crowds, you know, just doing shit that teenagers from the area do. So I'm really surprised to hear that, considering how much a grounded, like, person that, one, you are, but also, like, you were even however many years ago that was, like 6-7 years ago.
Yep.
Your mum's obviously done a really good job solo then. What's your relationship been like with her? And did you, as a kid growing up without a dad, did you resent your dad for not being there, or your mum for not, like, for it not working? I hear that's, like, common a lot, is that, you know, a young man just wants a dad in his life and it's never his fault, it's someone else's.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you?
I don't think it was resentment to my mum, because I, like, growing older and learning a lot more about life, I'm very thankful for what she did, and she did what she could do and what she knew, which was, you know, it's been great. It's been able to create who I am as a person. I think I held a lot of resentment for my father for not being there. I think he left when I was about 4 or 5, just because there was no support to my mum. And so my mum just said, if you're not going to support me, like, I don't want you in your life. So I don't think it was necessarily like a situation or anything, but it was just like, didn't want to help out. Yeah. I remember, I think I was about 18, he reached out to me on Facebook and wanted to meet up. And at that time I was just like, pretty broken as a human, like, without a father figure, like, I wanted answers. And I remember meeting up with him, and it was, had a lot of resentment. Like, lots of resentment. I wanted to scream at him, like, driving to his place. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I just like, want to let everything out here. Like years of all this not having a father, wanting a father, not being there, like all that was just all in me. I remember meeting him, and he was just broken. His body was broken. He had cancer, he had bowel cancer, and he had some other cancer. Shoulder was bung. He had to sleep in the lounge room because he couldn't move around too much. And I was like, fuck. I feel for you, man. Like, I feel for you. And the biggest take from this was just like seeing the outcome, and I feel super proud of like who I was becoming. And like, obviously, you knew nothing about me, but through the conversation, I was super proud of who I was as a young man. But the biggest thing out of this was he just said like, there's always another side of the story, and I couldn't help in my moment of time in my life. I couldn't help. Obviously, your mum made a decision on that. I was like, it wasn't your fault, man. Like, you could think it was his fault, but like, you know, you could have done more, but you didn't. But it's fine. Like, I'm here, kicking. So I'm not sure what life would look different if he did. I mean, could have been worse, could have been better. I'm not sure, but no matter what, I'm grateful for the cards that I was dealt. So
Yeah. And so you like made peace with him there, but then didn't continue the connection.
yeah, definitely went into it not knowing what I was going to do, but leaving with peace, with complete peace at that. But then yeah, I think there was a couple of communications after that. I know he invited me over for like a Chrissy thing, but there was a moment where I got logged out of Facebook and I had to make a new one, and I literally couldn't find him after that. Yeah, just since then I've had no communication with him.
Yeah.
So that was 12 years ago now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you want to have kids of your own someday?
Yeah.
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 What excites you the most about being a father?
So that's an interesting one though, like, 'cause it's sort of from not having that figure, it's my biggest drive to be that figure. But I'm not one to chase it. Like, I'm not chasing a family. I'm not chasing kids. I'm just going to be living my life to what I expect. If it happens, it happens. But I just know what I'll be able to offer a partner, a lover, so the daughter, the son. It's like not having that, like becoming that. I know what I've got for someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a mate who's grown up without a dad, had stepdad and whatever, but not a dad.
Yeah.
And now he's just had his first son. Like, he's the best thing in my life.
Yeah.
Best thing's ever happened to me. Like,
Love.
you know, attached. So, yeah, I'm like, I know that I want to be the father that I didn't have. Like, my dad was around.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah.
that's the bit, you know, any parent does the best they can for God. I'm like, I know what I felt like I lacked as a kid.
Yeah.
And I'll give my future kid everything, but same sort of things. Like, good busy lives. We do a lot.
Yeah.
Both single. I'm not pushing it, but I know that would be same thing. I know how much love and lessons and all that things I can give when the time's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the stars align, the universe says, "Hey, it's like time." It happens, man.
Yeah.
It happens. But yeah, definitely not a chase. I'm a dollar track for that.
Yeah.
So I know every other time I've chased, it's never been what I wanted.
Yeah.
Probably the wrong time as well. You know, like I definitely not capable of like showing true love and like support and all the things you need to do as a partner and a lover. Didn't have those correct tools, but yeah, that last relationship was the moment for me where it's like, you need to be the fucking man you need to be.
Yeah.
You need to change.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel like changing the other person has deepened your friendships with regular friends as well?
big time.
Yeah.
Big time, man. Being able to, definitely when it comes to the emotional, like learning and like work I've done on myself, I've realized how much more love I can spread in a relation with someone as well. not like an intimate, but like all my friends, I've like got so much more love and more time, more care, because I am able to, like I wasn't able to before. But yeah, the connections that I now have with the same people are so much deeper. Yeah. And I'm finding that even with meeting people, it's sort of traveling, and all of a sudden, like I've got a really deep connection with someone, and it's sort of, you know, one of my best friends now, I mean, that's just how it still 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was just like an attraction thing. It was sort of, I saw her and we started talking, and it was just like
This guy.
this guy.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing. He's just like, dude, there's something so special about you. Like, I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking be around you. I was like, I get that same feeling, man. And then since then, it's just like the last year and a bit, it's just been like he's like family to me now. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I felt this myself through putting myself out there on social media. Do you feel like, you know, talked about helping people with the runs and with the running you've done? Do you feel like being more vulnerable and open and showing people the stuff you do on social media has created the space for your male and female friends to be that vulnerable person, like for them to open up to you?
Definitely.
Yeah. Because I see it like when you post your runs and like mates that I know, they're doing the running stuff. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have picked them to do that. And I'm like, well, obviously they're doing it because you're a leader for them. And knowing from my experience, conversations I have with guys from footy, you wouldn't pick them to be vulnerable and they open up. How good does it feel to know that you're a leader in the space to be able to create safety for guys to share stuff? Because obviously it's about mental health. They go, well, he's a mental health guy. I know I can talk to him. Does that like deepen like male friendships, relationships? Then how does that make you feel knowing that these guys are going through stuff? And if it wasn't for you creating the space, who knows what they could have gone through too?
It's an interesting one because it's you know, if I explain it, for me the feeling is not necessarily around anything relating to me, but the feeling for them. Like it's more the care I have for you, as like for me, who started quite a bit over the last couple of years, holding that space for people. You get better at it. You know what I mean? The questions you ask, support you give, but it's more around making them feel the thing. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I'm going to feel like good for being able to do it to you, but I'm not jumping out myself saying, oh, I can help you. Like, that's the point of it. You know what I mean? Like, for me, the main concern would be to, you know, make sure you're okay. So
yeah, and just like seeing friends do better, be better. Like,
oh yeah,
so sick. Yeah.
Oh man, without a doubt. Like, I think like over the last year, like all my friends just making moves, doing things, and it's incredible to see. And I'm not taking credit for any of that. Like they're on their journey, but if I have a tiny little impact on anyone's life, I'm like super grateful to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
in any way, shape, or form, running, conversation, you know, anything at all. Like I'm grateful to be able to help someone else's life. So
Yeah. Epic. Is there any last bits you want to leave for the people? So we've got Miles4Smiles, you can follow Instagram.
yep.
You've got Pro Plumbing.
Yep.
Oh, if any of these kids their eyes out, any bits of wisdom, what do you want to leave them with?
Oh, there's lots of wisdom. I would say, nothing personal, but it would be more, you know, life is short. You've got to take chances. You've got to take risks. You've got to fall. You've got to rise. You know, face adversity, do the tough things. You'll always come off better. Yeah. Be kind. Be happy. Spread love. But love loves everything. So, yeah, that's what I leave the people with, man.
Yeah, that's epic. It's free. It's free to spread love. It's free to be kind. It's free to be a good person.
Custom nothing like that.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part of it. Like, you know, you spread love and you'll always just step off back.
Yeah.
The more you push, the more you receive.
Yeah.
It's a circle, brother. It's a circle of life.
Love it. Thanks heaps.
Nah, thank you, brother. Much appreciated. I love you bits.
Yeah, you too, bro.
Thanks for having me. Thank you
Anytime.
for trying in, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for making it to the end. I hope you didn't need to hear this.
Nah, that's fun. Thanks, man. Mate, thank you for having me, dude.